AI automation agencies are going to be dead in 2026. And in this video, I'll show you exactly what type of business to build instead. I have personally made over $1 million over the last year with AI, met Alex Hormozi after winning the school games, and sold a $2.6 million a year tech agency. AI agencies are not AI businesses. You're just trading time for money. You're just another service-based business that needs constant client and team management. Instead, I sell a 5K AI automation product that can generate 50K per month with no sales calls and only one group call per week. So if you want something more scalable, profitable, and fun, this video is for you. Let's get into it. All right, so let me show you the system that I'm actually selling for $5,000. It's called the Content Engine Database. It's a content system that automatically organizes all of your content. Each piece of content gets its own unique ID. You can track recording dates, publish dates, where your content is in the process, and the status of the copy, the image, and the video. It automatically creates documents for your script. Here's the script for today's video. It keeps track of your thumbnails. It also gives you this system that is a lot like Frame.io. If you've heard of that, you can watch your video and then you can provide feedback to your video editor and leave comments. And then it keeps track of all the feedback on the right side. And then you can see it keeps track of every file that's been uploaded to the system and its status so you can reuse it. Keeps track of all of your posts, your brands, all the different types of projects, how you distribute it, all the different channels you publish to, your team, and a bunch of other things that you can configure. So you can see it's not only a system, but it's something that you can actually configure. It's like an application. It's a complete system that you can configure, and it also comes with consulting to maximize the value of it. So when you get a system like this, because I create a lot of content myself, I can help you maximize the system. And really the best way to start to think about this is using the Hormozi equation. If you haven't checked this out before, I really recommend you take a look, because for automation style products, people get a bit lost on what the value is, and it's going to walk you through specifically how to maximize it. So the value of your product is really going to be a factor of the dream outcome times the perceived likelihood of achievement divided by the time delay and the effort and sacrifice your client is going to have to put into the product. So when you think about the dream outcome, it's pretty clear. My system helps you produce hundreds of pieces of quality content across social media. And the way I position the perceived likelihood of success is that I use it daily myself, and people are able to see that I produce a ton of quality content and that I also have a large following on social media. And then as I sell more and more of these, I'm just able to stack up more and more of the testimonials to show people that this works well. And then on the bottom here, you really want to minimize the time delay. So this system installs in 30 minutes and you could be producing content that same day. And it really takes very little effort and sacrifice to get going. And whatever troubles they do have, I've got the consulting and the support part of the product that allows people to implement the product with as little effort as possible, and I'm able to help them through anything that's overwhelming. So using this product equation will really help you maximize the value of your product. If you think of it as just an N8N template and an Airtable base that someone can download, they're really not going to see the value of it, because subconsciously they're going to think it's going to take a ton of time and effort. And even if they believe the dream outcome, they're not going to believe that it's going to work for them. So what they're really buying is not just an automation, it's a complete system. We help with all the automation nightmares, and they don't have to build anything, they just configure my proven system. And here's the math that changes everything. If you have an AI agency and if you manage to get 10 clients all paying you 1K a month, you'll have 10K a month, but with constant fires. And that's if you can keep these 10 clients. But with a high ticket AI product, you just need 2 sales a month at 5K to make 10K a month. So you have 2 customers instead of 10, and you have 1 group call to service everybody instead of endless management across 10 different clients and 10 different projects. All right, so now let me quickly go through my story and how this evolved over time and some of the insights that I learned so that you can avoid them. When I sold my previous company, I knew I wanted to do things with content. Although because I saw a lot of other people being successful, I knew that it would work, but I didn't know how it would work. And so I spent a lot of time on LinkedIn. I wasted a bunch of time creating content there. And then there was one morning after I had gotten on TikTok where I made a video about one of my content automation systems, and it went viral. And I got 100,000 views within the first couple of hours. And it totally just booked my entire calendar for the next 2 weeks with people wanting to talk to me. And that was really my aha moment. I went from being a skeptic on how to make this work for myself to being a believer overnight. And the progression I went through was I started a $10 a month community where I sold the automation that was in this video. And then from there, I turned it into a more advanced product like you saw earlier and started selling it for $9.99. And then from $9.99, I quickly moved to 2K. And then from 2K, I moved to 5K. But I did make 2 critical mistakes that slowed me down quite a bit. I I would always come up with additional products to sell, and I would always overcomplicate the automation. Instead of continuing to evolve and develop this product, my business would come to a halt. And every time I would overcomplicate the automation, people would get confused and wouldn't like the product. And then every time I simplified that product again, I would sell more of them. And that's what helped me arrive at the product that I have today, which really requires no team to sell. There's no overhead. And when I sell it, it's basically pure profit. And now I'm actually in the process of relaunching the product as KEDB Flow with all of the new AI capabilities. It's going to be 10 times better, way more simple, and at the same price. If you're enjoying this video, make sure to like and subscribe. It tells me what type of content you want more of. All right, so now let's talk about the 8-week path to a 5K product. And the main thing I want to talk about first is this reality adjustment, because most people vastly underestimate where they need to spend their time and how quickly they need to move in order to develop the product, in order to get the customers that they need before they run out of money. So what I find when I'm actually working with people is that they need to do 10 times more than they're actually doing. And I like to say that up front so that they quickly readjust their expectations so that they can do things correctly. And it's not necessarily about doing 10 times more. It's just about cutting everything out except the content and the product. And I'll explain more about that. And here are some of the fatal flaws that I see people make when they get started in this process is that they're setting up their studio for 2 weeks, obsessing about their school design or their logos, and every day not shipping the most important things, content and product. If you're not making content or if you're not building your product, it's a huge red flag, and I'll talk more about how to do that. Because really there's only 2 activities that really matter. Every day you should be creating content, and that content can also be you developing your product. While you're developing your product, you can make content about what you're developing, and you want to be spending 99% of your time on these 2 things. And they really become the same thing. So you're developing a product, you create content about it, you get people's reaction, and you take those reactions back into your product and you build a better product. And then of course, from time to time, you are going to need to build out a funnel and tweak your funnel and improve your funnel, but you really want to be spending 1% of your time on the funnel. So spend all of your time on content marketing and product development, and do this entire process in public, because building your product and creating content takes a lot of time. So you might as well make these 2 endeavors the exact same thing. And there is one secret to this, because what ends up happening most of the time, especially if you're a technical type person or you like to build products, is we overcomplicate the product. And so what ends up happening is people spend way too much time building a product that is too complicated, that prevents them from actually creating any content. So what you have to be aware of is that anything that you build has to be very small in the beginning. In order to produce a lot of content, you're going to have to build things in a 1 to 2 day time span. And if you can't, you just have to make it smaller. You have to reduce the scope of your project so that you can get it done in 1 to 2 days. And you also need to be willing to ship this before it's completely ready. You want to ship the 70% solution and let the market respond with the other 30% of what you should be building or what you missed. If you try to build a 100% solution, you're just never going to ship anything. A lot of the things that I'm teaching here are really just to help you move quickly, make things more simple, and get things out there versus trying to make everything perfect. You know, the reality is that most people only have so much money in the bank before they run out. And the cost of living is going up. So you don't have the luxury of just unlimited time to make this work. Now, this is one piece of advice if you are already experienced in a particular field. Maybe you've been working in an industry for 10 or 20 or 30 years. One thing I want to highlight is not to get distracted by shiny new tech. Platforms like N8N are really cool, but you already have a lot of experience that you want to package into your product. Starting over just by learning N8N and this becoming your main thing is a big mistake. You can use N8N, but use it to build something that you're already experienced in. Inside my community, the No Code Architects, there's a bunch of people that join who have a ton of experience, and they essentially start over thinking that they want to build an automation agency or that they have to use N8N because all of the YouTube gurus are teaching N8N. And so they're starting here and they have all of this experience over here, but they're so focused on N8N and all the shiny new objects, they just spend all of their time here, when in reality, they have all of this experience that they should use, and N8N or any automation platform should only be a means to help you unlock what you've already learned. Your expertise is really the accelerant, so you want to make sure you're using that. I made a big mistake when I sold my company and I started over. I didn't use my tech background and I didn't leverage it enough, when in reality, that was my secret sauce. You want to package what you already know and just wrap AI around it. So this is an aggressive schedule, and I realize that it's done on purpose. If I give you more time, you're just going to take it and even more. So I've condensed this to keep you focused. Week 1 through 2, you're going to build and record. On day 1, you're going to build a free school. You can even do that live and make content out of it. You don't want to spend a bunch of time on it. It doesn't matter if it's ugly. And then you're going to build 3 prototype products in the next 2 weeks that you think are interesting and that somebody might want to buy. And you're going to record as much of that process as you can, and you're going to create 10 pieces of content in that 2 weeks. In week 3 to 4, you're going to test quickly. You're going to try to get 5 beta users for that product. You're going to try to get rapid feedback. You're going to be pushing everybody from social media when you create that content, whether it's a short or a YouTube video. All of the calls to action are going to be going straight to your school site. Inside the community and in your content, you're going to be shipping improvements to these products on a daily basis. You're also going to be discussing everything with people in your group. You're going to be using the DMs. You're going to be using posts. You can even have some scheduled calls if you'd like, to engage this group as quickly as possible. From week 5 to 6, you're actually going to launch your product for $9.97. And what I find is a lot of people, when they're first starting out, they feel like that's really expensive. But if you think about it, it's really not that much money. If you've spent 4 weeks building something out of quality and you've been interacting with people and you've been improving a product, $9.97 for a refined product is really not that much. Anytime you feel like the schedule is too aggressive or the price point is too high, you're actually moving in the right direction. You really want to get over that feeling as quickly as possible and just get to work doing this. It's going to take you however long it actually takes. But if you give yourself a schedule, then you're going to have something to stick to and push towards. Again, remember, I told you that you're going to need to move 10 times faster than you thought you would. Now that you're starting to sell some product into the school community, you're going to want to make a VSL. Ideally, you've gotten some testimonials from inside your group. And after you get 5 sales, you're going to move to the 2K price point. And then in week 7 and 8, you're going to scale and you're going to move it to a 5K product where you make it super easy to install, configure, and you've got the weekly calls to help them maximize the value of this product. And a lot of what you'll have here to help them maximize it is all of the experience and interaction you've had in your school community. Now, the only differences to this schedule here might be to how much you need cash right now. Depending on how big your runway is, you might want to have 2 to 3 clients where you're doing done for you work with them. I'm not saying build an agency, but what I'm saying is you might need to have a couple of clients where you're working with them one-on-one. You're not building a team or a bunch of processes. You're just doing work for them, and you can get them from inside your school community as well. So once you start to meet some people, if they need any custom work, you can go ahead and do that for them. And that might also give you some product ideas. But if you do have a runway, if you've got 6 months of reserved cash, then I recommend focusing solely on the product so that you can move as fast as possible. All right, so now let's talk about the 5K no sales call system that I use, which you're not going to be able to start off on when you are selling a 5K product in the beginning. There's no way you're not going to be able to have a sales call. You're going to have tons of people that you're talking to in school, but once you get this perfected, you can totally sell your product for 5K without sales calls. So the key element, number 1, is tons of good content. This is really what's going to do the initial sale. People are going to learn about you. They're going to learn about what you build, what your expertise is. They're going to learn about your products. They're going to pre-sell themselves and learn about your product all from your content. But the key here is that it has to be good. You have to make really good viral content. A lot of people tell you that you shouldn't focus on virality, but when you have a viral video like I did that really woke me up, when you have 100K views on a video, the number of people that you're able to reach and affect is extremely powerful, and you really only need a very small percentage of those people to become buyers to have a very successful business. Now, key element number 2 is something that you're going to build over time. Remember in the beginning, I said when you're publishing your TikToks or your long form video, these should be going directly to a school. But once you have a proven system, what I recommend doing is taking people from your TikTok or your YouTube and sending them to some sort of lead magnet that is going to give them not only a tiny working system that you will place inside of school, and I'll explain a little bit more about how that works, but you're going to give them a free working system. So they're going to go to this landing page. It's going to promise them a working system, and then it's also going to promise them element number 3, and we'll talk about that in a second. But that's how you're going to get their email, which you are then going to use to email them this free system, and you're going to invite them to your school. So the free system is going to come via email inside school. Once they give you that email, you're going to send them directly to key element 3, which is going to be a simple video. A lot of people call this a VSL. In reality, in the automation space, it's really just going to be a demo of your paid system. So just think about this. You just sent them a free mini system that they're going to be able to use. They're now going to be inside your school community, and then you're going to show them your actual product. So very quickly, you're giving them a ton of value, even if they don't buy right away. And you don't have to build some fancy VSL where you're trying to come up with all these reasons to convince them to do something. It's just a simple demo of your system. But by the end of the video, what you're really trying to get them to think is, I need this, but I don't want to build it myself. And if they're not there yet and they're thinking about building it themselves, they're going to get your free system. They're going to come into your school. They're going to ask you a bunch of questions. They're going to start to build it. And then they're going to be like, I really don't want to build this. And then that key element number 4 is the free school community. Inside this school community, you're going to have the free working system, but then you're also going to dedicate one of the courses that just simply sells the system. So they're going to come in here. I've got these in draft mode right now while I relaunch the product, but they're going to come into the community, and right in the start here process, you're going to introduce them to your paid products. And not only that, but you're going to start to show them the testimonials that you've got with a link to the product. The previous iteration of this product actually pointed to a landing page, but when I relaunch it, it's actually going to point directly to a new school community. So inside this community, you just want to demonstrate your expertise. You want to build them small satellite automations that can interact with your main product. You want to show them a bunch of testimonials. You might have a weekly call where you can answer questions and upsell them into your main product. But the main funnel flow is you've got content going to a free system plus a VSL that takes them into the school if they don't buy. School nurtures them with proof until they're ready. And then you've got links to a paid product that allows people to buy at 2 a.m. while you sleep. So here's your simple execution plan. You're going to pick a niche either in the money, health, or relationships industry. And in all reality, I think most people should pick the money niche. And then inside that money niche, I recommend sticking with helping people save time, helping people save money. A lot of times people want to help people make money, but in order to do this, you're going to have to help them generate really high quality leads. And if you're just getting started and you don't know how to generate high quality leads for yourself, how are you going to promise and be successful doing that for other people? And so pick something where you help people save time and money, and then pick a niche inside that business. Are you helping them with content? Are you helping them with voice agents? Are you helping them build some sort of RAG system? These are all going to be very popular systems over the next year in 2026. There's a bunch of other things that you could build, but I think these 3 items are going to be one of the best things to do in 2026. And then again, you're going to want to build 1 prototype per week while you record what you build. And in order to do that, you're going to have to reduce the scope of what you build, even if it feels like it's less impressive. You're going to push everyone to a free school community. You're going to ship at 70% complete. You're going to give everything away until you have something to launch for $9.97. You're going to raise your prices every time you have 5 to 10 sales. Once you launch, you're going to want to start to plan version 2 before version 1 is already done to help you continue to produce new content and drive sales into the existing version. You're going to have 1 group call a week, and the rest is going to be dedicated to product and marketing. And remember, you only need 2 sales every month at 5K to hit your 10K a month goal. It just comes down to how fast you can get there. Now, I'm in the process of relaunching version 6 of the Content Engine database. If you're interested in doing something similar, make sure to jump into the No Code Architects community. It's an engaged group. I've got a course on how to launch an AI business, quick start guides for N8N and Make, plus a ton of templates that you can use to get started. And we've got calls almost every single day with me personally on Tuesday and Wednesday. We do promise to solve 100% of all of our members' tech issues. If you want to build AI products, this is the place to be. I'd love to see you inside the community. Either way, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you on the next one.